Tonight, we're also going to feature the British Council for the latest promotions and updates on this most popular high-stakes English examination for U.S. visa application. For the first 15 minutes of our Facebook Live session, we're going to talk about everything related to the IELTS delivered by the British Council. And then for the second 15 minutes of this discussion, we're going to ask this nurse who passed IELTS what she did in order for her to get the required band scores to work as a nurse in the United States of America. So we welcome everyone. Good evening if you are in Asia. Good afternoon if you are from the Middle East and Africa. And good morning if you are based in the Americas. For tonight, it's IELTS that we are going to talk about in particular. If you are joining just now, remember that there are 4 Mondays in a month. The first Monday and third Monday of the month, it's the turn of 9.09er English to talk about IELTS. So first Monday of the month, we feature an IELTS passer and we also have the British Council. And then third Monday of the month, this is when we are going to conduct free lectures on various high-stakes English. Third Monday of the month, we are going to conduct a free lecture. It could be listening, reading, writing, or speaking. And then every second and fourth Monday of the month, it's the turn of Nursing Review Center partners of AMN Healthcare International to conduct free lessons on next generation NCLEX. Before I turn you over to the British Council, I'd like to ask, using the comment section, kindly indicate your preferred destination. And then, if you're a nurse or a medical technologist going to the United States, kindly indicate your preferred state. It's important for us to know your destination because remember that in the United States, not every single state accepts the other English examinations. And this is the reason why AMN Healthcare International promotes IELTS, because IELTS is the one and only English examination that is accepted in all of the states. So what I'm going to do for now is to send the link to various group chats in order to encourage people to join us in our Facebook Live session. Meanwhile, I'll turn you over to Miss Jessica de la Cruz of the British Council to talk about everything related to the IELTS and the latest promotions. And don't forget that the British Council gives you free access to an IELTS online preparation course once you register for the exam with the British Council. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Miss Jessica de la Cruz of the British Council. Hi, Miss Jack.
Hi, Sir Irvin. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon to all of you who are watching right now. So, hello to Kimberly, who said that she's in the UK at present. So, thank you, AMN, and of course, 9.09er for inviting us today. So, for today, we'll talk about IELTS, and I couldn't emphasize it more, and I couldn't agree more with Irvin with what he was saying that IELTS is the only English test that is consistently accepted by more than 90-80% of the states in the US. So if you are planning to work as a nurse in the US, definitely your choice should be the IELTS test. So next slide, please. All right, so IELTS, I'm pretty sure you already know about this. IELTS is the International English Language Testing System, and it is designed to assess your English ability because, of course, the first language in the US is English, and you need to actually show that you are able to communicate using their first language because, knowing their first language is actually your first step to be able to adapt, eventually survive, and then hopefully, thrive in the US as a USRN. So, hi there, Errol. Good morning. You are now in Florida. All right. So, why is IELTS the preferred test for all USRNs or the preferred English test? So, IELTS has been in the market for over 36 years. So, it was first introduced in 1989. And having said that, many people would say that we are the OG. In high stake English language testing. And it says a lot about, being in the market for 35 or 36 long years. And having said that, we are actually recognized by more than 12,500 organizations worldwide, including more than 80% of the states in the US if you wish to work as a USRN. Now, that only means that actually your opportunities are limitless. Wherever you would be assigned by AMN, of course, there will be any more problem because you already have your IELTS result with you. And IELTS is recognized by its reliability and validity. So the test is actually valid for 2 years. And this is actually based on a study where it was proven that the English ability of a person either improves or deteriorates in a span of 2 years. Hello there, Chinyere. Greetings from you from Nigeria. All right. So IELTS is also trusted by organizations worldwide because of our multi-layered security measures. And so this is to ensure the veracity and the fairness of the test. And so we are actually number one in ensuring that we actually provide opportunities for all of you USRNs to be able to work, eventually migrate in the US, and of course for other people to achieve education opportunities and employment, even migration opportunities in other countries. Next, please. And so it is your test, so it will be your choice. So you can take the test either via paper based, we call that IELTS on paper, or via computer delivered, we call that IELTS on computer. So when you take the test, you will take the test in 2 rounds. So the first one is actually the written test, where the listening, reading, and writing tests are included. So you will do that in one sitting for about 3 hours. And the next round would be the live interview with an examiner. So this is the speaking test. And we keep it as is. We don't use AI or we don't use any machine or any recording. You are actually being interviewed or will be interviewed by a live examiner because it has been proven that this is still the best way to gauge a person's English ability. Now, to make it a little bit more techy, of course, and to make test takers even more comfortable, we do it via speaking, what we call video call speaking. So you will be in one room, just you and your examiner is in a monitor because you will actually speak to them um, through video call. All right. So many students would actually say that it actually makes them even more comfortable in taking the test because the examiner is physically not in the same room as they are. And it's available at the same price. So whichever you actually want, you can actually choose. You can choose whichever is much more comfortable for you. So for example, in my case, I prefer to take IELTS on computer tests because I am actually much more comfortable taking tests via computer. While other people I've talked to, they would say IELTS on paper because they're very used to taking the test via paper. So there are just some differences, of course, some advantages. Results are released faster if you take the test via computer because results are released not after or not within 1 to 5 calendar days. We recently upgraded that, so results are now received by test takers within 1 to 2 days after the test. While the paper test is still the same, results are released after 13 calendar days after the test. And computer test is much more flexible. In Metro Manila, if you are in the Philippines, we do it almost 7 days in a week. And for paper test, it's 3 to 4 times in a month. And we have a lot of test locations, may it be IELTS on paper or IELTS on computer. Now, the biggest difference would be what we call the one skill retake option. This is only available for IELTS on computer, where let's say, of course, the band score you need for speaking test is 7, and unfortunately, you weren't able to actually get it. You actually can retake just your speaking test. Uh, uh, and that will actually provide you more opportunity to focus on that component and get the band score you need. So this is what we call one skill retake, where you have that one last chance to retake that one component where you weren't able to get the band score you need. So if let's say you need to take two components, unfortunately you need to retake the whole test because again, this is just one skill retake, one last chance for you to retake that one skill. But if you took the IELTS on paper test and you need to um, and you weren't able to get the band score you need for just one component, unfortunately, you need to take or retake all four components. So these are just the major differences that you also need to consider, aside from, of course, your preference on how you would be able to take your test. Again, this is your test, so it's your choice. Next, please. So this is the IELTS test format for your reference. So it's divided between two modules, academic and general training. Most USRNs, if not all, I believe all, you are required to take IELTS academic for your test. So that's your module. Um, and then you have four test components. These are actually the four core skills you need to actually prove your English ability. So the written test, we have listening, reading, and writing. So again, you need to sit and finish the test, all three components in one sitting. And then you have a separate one, which is the live interview with an examiner, which is the speaking test. This is just for about 11-14 minutes. So if you will take IELTS on paper test, you will actually take all three components in one day, and while your speaking test might be scheduled on the same day as your written test or on a different date. For IELTS on computer test, all four components should be completed in just one day. So for IELTS on computer, again, it's much more flexible. You can do it any time of the week, depending on the availability of the test venue. There are also sessions that are what we call morning, afternoon, and evening session. So it's actually up to you. Next, please. So why should you take the test with the British Council? So number one, we have more test sessions and test locations to choose from compared to other English tests in the market. Taking the IELTS test with the British Council is actually much more convenient because there are a lot of test locations even in other cities. So we conduct the IELTS test from Luzon, Visayas to Mindanao, as high or as up north from Tuguegarao to the south in Dipolog, Zamboanga. So next slide, please. So this is our website. Our website address is britishcouncil.ph. You can actually take a photo or take a screenshot of this QR code. Um, and then if you scan it, you will be redirected to this page where um, our test dates are actually found and your registration portal. So again, it's britishcouncil.ph. That's where you can find our our 25 or even more paper test locations and more than 20 test locations for IELTS on computer. Next, please. So this is a quick list. So try and check if your city or your province is found on the list. But you can see at the end of the list, we said, and many more to come, because we are not actually stopping until it is actually very convenient for you to take the test. Because it is important to us that you take the test conveniently, that you would have a smooth sailing customer experience or test day experience. We don't want to add up to your anxiety or your nervousness. So we want to make sure that the test venues are just at arm's reach to you. So stay tuned and maybe check our website or our Facebook page, IELTS British Council Philippines, regularly so that you would actually see our announcements, and maybe your city might not be part of the list now, but tomorrow it'll be we'll announce that we're actually delivering the test there already. So recently we returned paper delivery or paper testing in Bulacan, and we will soon announce more IELTS test venues really soon. Next, please. Right, so we do have what we call IELTS on paper trial test. So this is actually an actual um, uh, simulation of the paper test. So this is one of the preparation activities and materials that we have for our test takers. So we are mentioning this because we do have an exclusive IELTS on paper trial test with 9.09er English in Cavite, which is our test venue for both paper and computer, and 9.09er English Manila, which is also our IELTS on paper and IELTS on computer venue. So if you are interested in experiencing the actual paper test for the listening, reading, and writing parts of the test, please do sign up. These are the dates. So for Cavite, it's May 24 and June 21 from 2 to 6 p.m. And for Niner Manila, Picampa, that's June 14 and July 5 from 9 a.m. till 1 p.m. So it's available for both academic and general training. And after you've taken your mock test or your IELTS on paper trial test, you will actually receive indicative band scores for your listening, reading, and writing parts of the test 3 to 4 weeks after your scheduled IELTS on paper test. So what a good way to actually experience the actual test, and then of course get the know where you are right now with your test level, or where you are in terms of your listening, reading, and writing skills. Next, please. We also have IELTS on computer familiarization tests for all those who are interested in taking the test via computer or who are still undecided. So just like the paper test, this is an actual simulation of the actual test, both available for academic and general training. If you complete the test, which is for 3 hours, of course, you will take the listening, reading, and writing parts of the test. You will actually get results for your listening and reading test 72 hours from the time that you take the mock test. You can do this anywhere as long as you have your laptop with you and an internet connection. All you need to do is to just input your email address and take the test for about 3 hours. If you wish to actually experience your actual IELTS on computer test in your preferred or chosen test venue, you can also do so. 9.09er English, who is actually our IELTS test venue partner, has about 10 IELTS on computer with the British Council from Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. You can actually ask them because they schedule free IELTS on computer mock tests in their venues so that you can actually experience the test before actually taking it. Next, please. And then we do have upcoming events. So we do have what we call IELTS Mini Fair Partner Series, where we actually feature and partner with our longtime venue partners, including 9.09er. And we bring all our other partners who can actually help you your with your migration work or even study dreams and opportunities. So we do have upcoming this May 3 events under 9.09er. So we have on May 24 in Iloilo, and then May 25 in Bacolod. So in Iloilo, it's in Niner Iloilo. It's in the Grid in Mandurriao. And then Bacolod, it's in Niner Bacolod. So that will be from 9 a.m. until 1 p.m. So if you are interested, please feel free to contact us at IELTS British Council Philippines so you can sign up, or better yet, contact Irvin or 9.09er to sign up as well. I heard that Niner will give away free books to the first 20 uh, participants. And all other partners actually will also have a lot of freebies, including us, the British Council. Next, please. All right. So we also have another one. I'm not sure why it was skipped, but we do have also another fair in Nagupan on May 31. Yes, thank you so much. So we do have upcoming on May 31 in Niner Dagupan, which is also our IELTS on computer test venue. So don't miss that out. So two in Visayas and one in Luzon. And then next, please, we are happy to announce that we have a lot of promos for you, especially those who are planning to take the test real soon. So we do have what we call an IELTS on paper bundle promo. So this is for all test takers who wish to take the test in Manila, Cebu, and Cagayan de Oro until June 30, 2025. So all you need to do is to just use our code when you register for the test. It's IELTS Paper Q1, and then you will actually receive an SM gift pass worth 300 pesos and a free IELTS Ready Premium worth 4,000 pesos. So that's about over almost 5,000 pesos of freebies for you. So if you are planning to take the test, paper test real soon in these locations, please don't forget to input the code. And we have another one for IELTS on computer. Next, please. We call that IELTS Sulit. So we do have IELTS Sulit deals and save as much as 1,000 pesos on your IELTS on computer test. So this is in select locations once again. So we do have Manila, Cebu, Pampanga, and Baguio for these IELTS on computer tests promo. So all you need to do if you are planning to take the test on or before June 30, 2025 is input IELTS Sulit, and then you can already avail of the 1,000 peso savings from your total test fee. So, again, if you are taking IELTS on paper test, avail out of our IELTS promo bundle, IELTS on paper promo bundle. If you're taking the test via computer, we do have IELTS Sulit deals. So, I hope you already took a screenshot of what we've shown earlier so you won't be able to forget the promo codes. Next, please. So just in case you have questions and inquiries, or maybe you just want to know the promo codes because you forgot, please feel free to contact us. We have our email address, telephone, even our Facebook page. Send us a message, or you can actually chat with us live during office hours on our website, britishcouncil.ph. So once again, thank you everybody. Thank you 9.09 and AMN for having us tonight, and enjoy the rest of the webinar, everybody. We'll see you in one of our events.
Thank you so much, Miss Jessica of the British Council. So, guys, make sure to maximize the free preparation materials offered by the British Council after you register for the IELTS examination. So, 4 months ago, we started featuring an IELTS passer. That's why we received a lot of messages coming from nurses, and they asked to hear more from fellow nurses who have passed their English examination. So, after 3 nurses, now it's the turn of Nurse Isa to share her story. So, ladies and gentlemen, with us tonight is Nurse Isa. We are going to ask her the following questions, and we'll begin with the most important question. Nurse Isa, why did you review for IELTS and what were your initial plans?
Hi, sir. Hello, everyone. Actually, I took IELTS because, of course, I wanted to be able to work abroad. I am in the Philippines, and I dreamed of, better opportunities. And honestly speaking, I took IELTS because I wanted to be equipped with the skills that would make me competitive in the field that I am in. I didn't want to just be a nurse and have difficulty talking to people. I wanted to really showcase of course, my nursing skills and be good at communicating. So I took IELTS because I believe that this exam is the best exam that would give me what I need in my profession.
Thank you so much. So perhaps Nurse Isa is fully aware that once she passes her IELTS, that is her ticket to unlimited opportunities in various English speaking countries. Now, we all know for a fact that if nurses are going to the United States of America, speaking is considered to be the most crucial subtest. Because if you look at all the English examinations accepted for USA visa screen and license endorsement for state boards of nursing, usually speaking requirement is higher than the other subtests. So let's ask Miss Isa when she prepared for her IELTS, which subtest did she consider to be the easiest of them all? Let's begin with easy before we move on to the most challenging subtest. So, Nurse Isa, listening, reading, writing, or speaking? Please let us know your thoughts.
I would say the easiest would be listening, because with listening, I only had to pay attention to what I would be listening to. At the same time, it sounded natural when I would listen to the speakers. They did not sound very academic at all. So for me, listening was the test or the subtest that was kind of predictable, and because it gave me time to prepare, so I knew what I would be expecting. So definitely, I would say it's listening.
And Nurse Isa is actually correct. Why? Because if you look at the national average of most candidates taking the IELTS, people usually get their highest average in the listening subtest. And perhaps this is the reason why it's always the first subtest in the written exams. You don't want to intimidate or overwhelm the candidates by giving them a difficult subtest at the beginning of the written exams. That's why in the IELTS written examinations, listening always comes first. No wonder why the national average for Filipino nurses taking the listening test is 7.3. And by far, this is the highest vis-a-vis the other subtests of the IELTS. Now, let's move on to the most challenging. Some people are not fond of writing. There are those who would rather watch and hate reading. There are people who are able to express themselves through writing but find it difficult to open their mouth. So, to each his own or to each her own. But let's ask Miss Isa, when she prepared for the IELTS, which subtest did she consider to be the most challenging of them all?
Definitely, it's writing. The writing subtest was for me the most challenging. I would not say difficult because it's actually achievable. I mean, the score that most nurses would need is achievable. It's just that it requires a lot of practice and definitely dedication. It's easy to simply write down ideas, like when someone's depressed and you just want to write a poem there and write down your emotions. That's pretty easy. But writing for that IELTS, I would say that's completely different. It really challenged my every brain cell. So I was not entirely like prepared to face it. In fact, I don't think that I would pass the IELTS if I did not prepare at all. So it really required a lot of practice.
Miss Isa's answer is the writing subtest. And you know what? Every answer that Miss Isa gives us tonight is backed by data and statistics. Why? Unfortunately, writing is the subtest where people usually got the lowest. Now, let's take the Philippines into consideration. If in listening, the national average is 7.3, in writing, it's just 6.1. Well, that's the bad news that writing is considered to be the most difficult subtest. But you know what's the good news? If you are a nurse going to the United States of America, you do not need a specific grade in listening, reading, and writing. If you're going to the US, all you need is a 7 in speaking and a 6.5 overall band score. So that leads us to the question, what grades are you supposed to get in listening, reading, and writing in order to get 6.5 overall? Guys, 6 in listening, reading, and writing, plus a 7 in speaking, that will give you 6.5 overall. In fact, you do not need two sevens and two 6.5s or two sevens and two sixes. One 7 and three sixes, that's already enough to give you 6.5 overall band score. But even if you get 5.5 in writing, you can still go to the United States as long as your speaking is 7 and your overall band is 6.5. So do not worry even if writing is considered to be the most challenging subtest because it's not the most important subtest. The most important subtest if you're going to USA is speaking. As mentioned earlier, you need a 7 in IELTS speaking. Same with other English exams. It's typically the speaking subtest that requires the highest band score. So let's ask Miss Isa, when she prepared for her IELTS, what exactly did she do in order to make sure that when she takes the examination, she'll be getting at least 7 in the most important subtest, which is speaking?
Sir, the only answer that I have for that is is mainly because I passed the exam because I was guided all throughout, and fortunately there is Niner. There's 9.09er. I enrolled, and They guided me all throughout the process from the very start up until I actually, nailed the test. And honestly, it's the best decision I made for my IELTS preparation because I actually would, during that time when I was preparing for the test, I felt like I was entering new territory. I didn't know what to expect, but because Niner was there and is still here, they helped me with the understanding the structure, dissecting the questions, and most of all, they gave me the confidence that I would need to actually be better at speaking. I am from the province, and I'm not used to expressing myself in English. In fact, I used to be scared whenever I had to do public speaking or if I have to use the English language. I usually would opt to just be quiet. But because of the help I received from Niner, my preparation became smoother, and I got the confidence that I needed to be at my best when I took the test.
Thank you for that, Nurse Isa. Well, this is the age of social media, and I'm sure there are a lot of people who rely on YouTube or TikTok, not just for examination preparation, but for most aspects in life. So, if I may ask Nurse Isa, what is one thing that you have learned from 9.09er that you think you'll never be able to learn on YouTube?
Sir, it's definitely the techniques. Like, there are a lot of videos out there, a lot of websites. Like, yes, I can read them all, but it's not really easy to process everything. But with Niner, it's like a step by step journey. Like at first, I was introduced to the basics, and then afterwards, the techniques were taught. After, and then it was followed by skills enhancement, and everything just fit into place. And it's the process that made the review very satisfying. And even though I was highly anxious during the entire ordeal, I felt confident to take the test because the structure that was given helped me at least be more organized if ever I had to like think of ideas. What do I need to say? What do I need to write? Niner equipped me with the strategies that I would need. It's not like just simply watching a video. Niner was actually there to really help me understand not just the format, not just the structure, but also how I would be coming up with what to say, what to do. It's like everything was easier. I did not have to do it on my own, basically.
If I may add, when you watch videos on YouTube, you cannot ask questions. But with 9.09ers, daily one on one coaching, let me emphasize that one, daily one on one coaching in speaking and writing, nurses get to ask questions. Then their coach is going to respond real time. It's not as if you're just watching and then you're wondering, what if it's like this? But I have a question. With 9.09ers daily one on one coaching, whatever you have learned today, you can apply the next day. And the coaches are going to tell you more tips and what you're supposed to do with certain mistakes that you've committed in your next round of one-on-one coaching. The good thing is AMN Healthcare International sponsors the review program of all their qualified nurses. So nurses don't need to spend a single centavo. All you have to do is to qualify, make sure that you meet the requirements of AMN Healthcare International. And once you pass their standards, you will be sent to us. You don't have to spend anything for your examination preparation, and you are entitled to daily one on one coaching, something that you'll never be able to get from YouTube. And when I started teaching 19 years ago, 2006, even before I started operating Niner in 2007, back then, nurses had no choice because it was just IELTS. Now, there are so many English examinations available in the market. But let us ask Nurse Isa, how come she still chose IELTS even if there are so many English tests to choose from?
Sir, The first reason is because it's the exam that's widely accepted. Like all states in the US, they wouldn't have any questions when it comes to submitting the IELTS certification because all states accept it. So I knew back then that if ever that I would apply for a US visa, I know that I wouldn't encounter any problems with my English exam. Another reason why I took IELTS is because for me, it's the exam that would be a complete package, not just for my profession, not just for my skills, but it's only something that would it's also the exam that would equip me with the skills I would need in case that I would want to progress further in my nursing career, because it's not simply applicable for day-to-day conversations. Because of IELTS, I actually felt more confident to not just deal with patients. I felt more confident to even talk to superiors or managers because I already got the skills I needed, and it's because of IELTS. It's like the complete package. It's not just for what we need today. It's not just the requirement, a visa requirement. It's something that we could actually use in the long run. It's more than just an exam. That's the reason why I went for IELTS.
To put things into perspective, it was 3 years ago, 2022, when CGFNS, HRSA, and state boards of nursing accepted other English examinations. But here's one thing that AMN Healthcare International noticed in the last 3 years. Some nurses chose other English proficiency examinations because they thought, okay, this is the examination for me. Then voila, when they decided to pick a state, their preferred state does not accept the other English examination. So AMN Healthcare International had no choice but to require them to take another English examination, and it's the IELTS this time. Again, we'd like to emphasize that regardless of the state, IELTS is accepted. If you choose other English examinations, there is a possibility that you'll have to repeat your English examination, maybe because the state that you're planning to go to does not accept the other English exams. So if you want a guarantee that you hit two birds with one stone, IELTS is the key. So now, there are two testing centers or test administrators for IELTS, but why did Nurse Isa choose the British Council over the other?
Well, it's simple. British Council made the process easy for me. I never had issues with my application. Applying for the exam was easy because I just filled out a form and paid for the test, and that's it. I never experienced problems with the testings venues. Everything was conducive. I did not encounter distractions during the test, and I decided to go for British Council because during my preparation time, of course, I had to ask other nurses as well, like where would they be taking their exam, and everyone gave positive feedback regarding British Council. So of course, I went for British Council. They're really helpful, and they made the exam less stressful.
Thank you for that. Now we are down to the last talking point. We have established that IELTS is accepted in all states of the United States of America. We have also mentioned that the British Council offers better customer service, readily available practice tests, and the good part, 9.09er in the Philippines is the official testing center of the British Council in the following locations. There's Manila, Makati, if you're from Metro Manila. And then we have three testing centers in Southern Tagalog region. There's Cavite, Laguna, and Batangas. And then up north, we have four testing centers. There's Tagupan, Pangasinan, Cabanatuan, Nueva Ecija, Tuguegarao, Cagayan Valley, Vigan, Ilocos Sur. And then in the Visayas, we have opened Bacolod Testing Center last year. And this year, we are opening Iloilo Testing Center. So this marks the second testing center of 9.09er with the British Council in the Visayas. If you're going to choose other English examinations, you might be required to travel all the way to Makati, Baguio, Cebu, or Davao because of the limited availability. But IELTS as an exam is available in 30, that's 30 key cities nationwide. For sure, you don't have to travel to the next region just to take your IELTS because IELTS as an exam is readily available in nearly all 16 provinces of the Philippines. So, what's our last question for Miss Isa? For fellow nurses who are still hesitant in pursuing their American dream because of the IELTS speaking subtest, what would be your advice and perhaps the most effective test taking strategy that you can share with them to help to help them wing the IELTS speaking subtest?
Definitely, I feel what other nurses would be feeling when they're faced with the decision whether they have to take the IELTS or not. Guys, I was in that position before, and honestly, the only way for you to be able to nail the test is if you will, of course, first choose the right review center that would help you. It's not really everyone's, I mean, not everyone will be quite comfortable to review on their own, and sometimes we really need help. So please choose a review center that would help you. In my case, Niner helped me helped me with the preparation, and I was able to pass the exam in just one sitting. So for me, that's like an achievement already. And the last advice is that you have to be really dedicated to review, because again, like what I have said earlier, it's not just an exam. It's not just a visa requirement. It's actually an exam that would be beneficial, not just today, but also in the future, in case that you would like to be promoted at work. IELTS will equip you with better communication, confidence, and it's going to be something that will be with you. Yes, the exam expires in 2 years, but guys, I'm telling you, once you understand, once it's there, once that you gain the skills, you just need to polish it. And IELTS actually could help you be better. So just make sure that you study, make sure that you're dedicated and you're focused.
And just like that, we have reached the end of our Facebook Live session. First 20 minutes, the British Council gave us an idea of what the IELTS examination is all about and mentioned the IELTS free trial test. There's the IELTS on computer familiarization test, and there's an IELTS on paper bundle promo and IELTS on computer sulit deals. Miss Isa, on the other hand, talked about her personal experience, her journey when she prepared for this examination, and the fruits of her labor. She passed the IELTS speaking test. And because she passed IELTS, she is able to apply for a visa going to the United States, or perhaps if she changes her mind, IELTS will also open doors for her in most English speaking countries. And don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, the 2 Mondays from now, we are going to do on the spot IELTS writing with Sir Brian Martin Shawson. It's been quite a while since the last time Sir Brian did Facebook Live for AMN. I think the last one was February, and 3 months later, Sir Brian is back. So don't forget to mark your calendars. That's the third Monday of this month. And then next month, June, first Monday, we are going to feature another passer who nailed his or her IELTS examination. So once again, we would like to thank everyone for joining us tonight. Thank you, British Council, for allowing Miss Jessica to be with us for tonight. And thank you so much, Nurse Isa, for your time tonight. And I'm sure you're able to inspire and motivate fellow nurses to pursue their American dream with the help of 9.09er English, the daily one-on-one coaching, and above all, the sponsorship of AMN Healthcare International. So guys, if you know any nurse planning to go abroad, one thing's for sure, AMN is more than willing to sponsor the different steps and the requirements that are needed for your application. And remember that AMN Healthcare International is just one email or one message away. Once again, this is AMN Academy saying thank you for tonight, and we hope to see you next time. Bye, everyone. Thank you.